Hello guys. All right, so in this video I will be watching this Cruise TV's video with you all titled Should Marriage Be Till Death Do Us Apart? All right, so now let's begin. For those watching me for the very first time, hi, welcome. My name is Adeola and I am a Nigerian living here in Mexico. All right, so let's watch this video. And what I will do is probably during the video, I will pause to make commentaries. And then at the end, I might make a general comment and then go through some of the comment section to see what some people have to say out there. Because I just like to see how people think in this day and age that we are living in. All right, let's go.
Please signify if you agree with the prompt. Divorce is the only way out of an abusive marriage.
I can't stand abusive marriage anymore. I've experienced coma, go 3 times.
Wow.
I will advise separate say like 2, 3 years, 4 years, and see if the both partner will adjust. If it does not work, go for divorce. Let everybody say calm down. Then let's see who is the devil and who was the angel.
I don't believe that divorce is really way to save a marriage personally, but if someone can abuse you in a relationship, someone can lift their hand up to hit you, why are you married to that person? What are you doing there?
Can the disagreeers now speak?
Okay, divorce is not the only way out. Think back. It has not always been beating now. There were real good times.
Wow.
Think back about that good times. Think back on how you started. You would definitely find a loophole somewhere. I hate beating, but no one is a saint. You will not die inside that marriage.
Amen.
Go away. Stay separate.
The only reason I'm on this side is because of the word only. Divorce is not the only way, actually. Even legally, there's something called judicial separation, which means that you are legally allowed to stop cohabiting with this person for the reasons that you would ordinarily divorce that person. Because even when you go to the courts, the first thing they ask you as a legal practitioner is, have you advised the client on reconciliation? If there is any chance that the parties will reconcile, the court would stop that proceeding to tell you, go and reconcile. So divorce is not aimed at actually separating people. The whole concept of divorce happens when the marriage has broken down irretrievably. Simple. At the same time, there should also be attempts to protect the party being abused. There are laws that protect people. The Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act. Lagos State has adopted the domestic violence law as well that can give you protective orders while you're separate from this person. And in this moment, it is left for that person to now prove that he is no longer a threat. Also, there's been so much focus on physical abuse. Abuse can be psychological, it can be sexual, it can be financial. It's not just the physical abuse.
Yep.
The courts in one of the cases said a dropping water melts away the stone. It might be minor acts, which in themselves, they do not amount to reasons to divorce, but when you accumulate them, it amounts to reasons to divorce. Even the courts recognize that.
Well, finally, the springtime is here. Feels
My
really.
name is Fisayo. I'm
Hi,
28.
Fisayo.
I'm a legal practitioner. I'm married and a year and 3 months now. I'm pro-divorce because I don't think divorce is a problem. I think divorce is rather a solution to a problem.
I'm just going to start with this. I'm not a therapist, I'm not a psychologist, but I can't prefer a solution as to what anyone should do. I'm still quite young. But I'm going to say that at the end of the day, we've convinced ourselves that.
So I just wanted to pause this video to just make a quick commentary. I've already seen this video, so yeah. And this guy Alvin the chipmunk, so triggering. But anyway, I will play the video all throughout. All right.
That divorce is the cure-all answer to it. And it's really wild because based on the data, the people who have divorced, right, and gone into second and third marriages have way less chances of it succeeding. It's 67 for second marriages and 73 for third marriages. Even when we're not talking
So his data is completely false. And even his lips right here, I'm like, this guy needs like chapstick or something. But anyway, data completely false. 67 and then 73. I mean, that's getting higher. So I'm not really sure if he meant like successful marriages or failure. So meaning you have 67% chances of having a successful marriage, and then 73% of having successful marriage, or maybe 67% of your marriage failing and 73% your marriage failing if it's a third marriage. Anyway, I don't know where he gets its data from. There really aren't that many statistics online for Nigeria specifically. So I'm guessing his data is probably from let's say the US. So research done by Americans for Americans, so it doesn't apply to Nigerians. But maybe the legal practitioner will be able to shed more light on the actual data.
about abuse, people just think it's normal. People just think, I mean, it's degeneracy to society. The analogy I love to use is imagine society like a body, like a human body, right? And the family is the cells of that society. When you begin to break it off one by one, it causes, you don't know the effects. So saying divorce is just a cure-all excuse and normalizing it
So this guy doesn't even know basic science. But anyway, let's continue.
it's like saying we shouldn't drink liquid because we have the chance of choking. It doesn't make sense.
What happened to dialogues? What
Daniel.
happened to having a conversation? Because before the two of you got married, you courted, you saw those signs. What happened? You were in love, you just ignored the signs. Continue ignoring the signs now. Why did you have to? No, that is, hold on. Except you didn't see the sign, and nobody can say they did not see even the slightest bit of signs that this person could be abusive. I have been there, I have been abused.
Wow.
What did I do? I called my partner. What's going on? What's happening? Why is this thing happening? We had the conversation. You can't just say, oh, divorce is going to solve the issue just like that. It doesn't. Okay, you get divorced and then what?
A friend of mine was hit stabbed to death just because of beans. That the beans was not soft enough for a man to eat. The argument started. Okay, let me go and cook it more. He said, why is it taking so long? Just for the woman to say, it's beans. You allow it to solve, and he said it's too strong. Bah!
Wow.
Started punching the woman. She retaliated to save her life. The next thing the man did, he picked a bottle beside him. A pregnant woman with 3 months child in her womb.
Wow.
Before she rushed to the hospital, she passed away.
Whew. Yeah, let's just take that in. Wow. So I actually know somebody who passed away with pregnancy. I think she was several months pregnant. I believe she was like in her third trimester. I don't know exactly what happened. So she was like a relative of mine. Now I was living with my cousins then, and it was their. So it was my cousin's elder sister, because the dad was married to multiple wives. So the lady, she was actually much older. She was like my auntie's age. Yeah. So I was living with my auntie and her kids. So and then once in a while we would hear cases of domestic violence, abuse, the man beating the wife, even though she was pregnant, and then we would try to tell the father, right? So my auntie's husband, to go and just do something about it. But typical African marriage, it's like you just want to stay out of their business because it's not your business, it's their marriage. And as a man, he thought, well, there's nothing I can do. I can't just go to another man's house to tell him how to run his house, even though this was his first daughter. I believe his first child, actually. And yeah, just one day we heard this woman had passed away. The husband had beaten her to death. So I don't know what the issue was, why he started beating her. But yeah, that was my very first experience with domestic violence, because I had no idea that a grown man can actually beat up a grown woman, because growing up usually your parents will beat you up until a particular age, 16, 17. Once you finish high school or once you become a teenager, then the physical beating stops. Then sometimes they might have to introduce another way of another method of punishment. It could be taking away privileges, or they tell you to go to bed without eating dinner, or you have to do the chores, or just something else. But physical beating usually stops by a particular age. So I was actually quite surprised that a grown woman was getting beaten by another grown man. So that was like my very first experience. I was probably maybe 10 or something, thereabout. But yeah, this is very sad and quite triggering. But let's continue.
And my name is Alice Bedudo. I'm 54
Hi.
years old. I'm a divorcee of 11 years now. Hitting every time. Little thing a man will provoke, little time, little thing I will provoke. People say marriage is adorable, it's not enduring. As long as there is no hitting, no abuses, both from the husband or from the wife.
I feel like the topic they've been using is too subtle for you guys. Too. You have it, child. Male or
Yes, I
female?
do. Male.
You have children, sorry, ma'am. Male or female?
Male, female.
Ah, beautiful. Okay, so like, we've been talking about physical abuse since. Let's say, for instance, now your husband sexually abused your daughter.
But
Are you going to
God
stay with him?
forbid.
God forbid. Yeah.
forbid.
But it happens. These are things that happen. Will you stay with him after?
First and foremost, let me tell you the truth. I would definitely want to find out that thing.
No,
true or
if your
not,
daughter
what
come and meet you, start asking her, is it true or not? If your husband sexually abused your child or your wife sexually abused your child and you find out it's true, what are you going to do?
You know the beautiful thing about that question? I'm going to consider priorities. If I leave my spouse, right, what consequence do you think will be greater? Leaving that marriage is not going to reverse the emotional trauma. If I'm a mother and I didn't have any education whatsoever, I don't have a 9-to-5 job, I don't make any form of money at all, and I know I need that for financial assistance, I'm going to say, look, I'm prioritizing my daughter's or my son's future ahead of this abuse. This abuse, it already happened. It's a bad thing, right?
Well,
But it already
if you
happened.
divorce,
but I'm
like, it's
prioritizing
still,
that future.
there are countries that if you
Let
divorce,
me help.
there will be financial compensation.
Let
So
me
if you are
help.
going
Wow, a lot to take in, a lot to unpack. Now, this boy, probably 18, 19, it can be more than 20 years old. He's probably 19. This boy hasn't even lived life. Now, I don't know the kind of family dynamics he grew up in. I don't know if he experienced abuse, or maybe the people around him experienced abuse, and so they stayed there, right? Because I mean that's just what you do, right? You endure and you persevere and you forgive, right? So maybe the home he grew up in, maybe the mother endured and persevered, or maybe the aunties or somebody he knows he just endured and persevered. Because for somebody that young to have that belief in 2024, it is quite disturbing, mind-boggling, very sad. And I mean, I feel very bad for the woman he will encounter, because this man is about to create more broken women. And the cycle just keeps continuing. It just continues. Now it talks about prioritizing, right? I don't even know why this guy is even speaking with this foreign accent. I don't know, but that's by the way. So he talks about depending on a man for financial assistance, right? What happens to advising that woman to go get a job, or to go get a better job, or to maybe start a side business, right? Or maybe to even move in with a friend or relative, right? Who might, be happy to take her in. What happened to empowering that woman so that she wouldn't have to depend on this man? And by the way, it's not only women who are dependent on their husbands that experience such thing in their family, right? So what if you are doing well financially and still this thing happens? Because being poor and experiencing marital abuse or sexual abuse, sexual violence has, there's no correlation between them, right? So you could be rich and you could be a pedophile. You could be poor, you could be a pedophile. Like finances and mental illness, because it is a mental illness. Finances and mental illness has nothing to do with each other, right? So it's like being physically healed, right? If you are poor, you can experience cancer. You are rich, you can experience cancer. These things, they don't have any boundaries, they don't discriminate, right? So, and what he said about prioritizing that child's future for financial reasons. Okay, you prioritize that child's future, and that child is still there, right? Getting molested. So he talked about this happened. No, this is happening. Not this happened one time. It's done. It's happening. These things are happening, right? It's like the child is getting molested very frequently. Okay, so even if you do remove that child, I think he said something like that. What about the next kids? Right now, it's not only girls who get molested by their dad. Sometimes the sons are victim of sexual violence as well. So what's going to happen to that other child? So let's say you have 4 kids. Are you going to take away all 4 of your children, put them somewhere? Okay, you put them somewhere, who's going to be taking care of those kids financially, right? Now somebody has to send money to whoever is taking care of those kids. You think that man will send the money to maybe his brother or his sister or maybe the wife's relative to take care of those kids? So like, what this little boy Alvin, whatever he's saying, like, it doesn't even make any sense. But let's continue.
Want to
But
get
it's
financial
not always
now.
sure.
Wait, if you know
It's
you're
not
going,
always
wait,
sure.
if you know you are going to get financial compensation from divorce,
The
are you going to do it?
You
the
never
reason
know.
you shouldn't
If you
get
know.
divorced
No,
in
you only
situations
know when
like
you're in the
that.
divorce
The reason
process.
who is going to help the man? Like the man needs help,
Of
obviously.
course, I know the help that he needs.
What do you mean? That's your husband.
I'm sorry,
That's
You're
what?
sexually assaulting my
responsibility.
child and you're telling me I should be
that is
responsible
your-
for him?
Yes, you.
Bro, what?
As a
The
wife,
man should be in
as a
jail.
wife, you should be responsible for
What
your. Did you? Has it been like that? Did you know?
Okay, so who's going to help the man? As a wife, you should be responsible for your husband. Who's going to help him? I don't understand. Is the man disabled? Does he have some sort of a physical disability? Is he sick? Is he a baby? Is he a child? What does it mean by who's going to help the man? Like, help the man how? Like, physically, meaning like get him dressed in the morning, cook for him, feed him. Like, I don't understand what he means by help the man, or help him financially, help him. I don't understand who's going to help the man. As the wife, it's your job to help the man. Okay, so I help the man. What about my child who is now psychologically damaged and even physically damaged? So I'm helping the man at the expense of my own child. But it's very sad. And this guy too is another young guy, very young man, young human being. But let's continue.
That he has
After he
been like
assaults
that.
my daughter, I
Something
start
is
interrogating
definitely
him. Have you
wrong.
been like this? Is this your first time?
So
Seriously.
putting him in jail, how does that?
I'll be at peace knowing that whoever assaulted my daughter.
Are you sure you'll be at peace, or you're just imagining that?
Let me address a lot of issues that have actually been raised here, most of which border on criminal allegations.
Exactly.
If a man rapes a minor, that's a very grievous crime, regardless of whether he's the father or not. And the right steps that should be taken, because you're saying the emotional abuse has happened, you're right. But that daughter will grow up knowing that the mother condoned it. That's a greater emotional abuse. So the best thing the mother can do at that point is to do everything to protect the child, which includes making sure that the father, if you're not going to at least report the father, you take the child away from that environment. But you can also, like I said, if you divorce this man, you have a legal claim to financial support that it would be binding on him. So you saying if you leave, it would, no, that doesn't
It's
happen.
not always like that.
It is
It's not always like
it
that.
depends. And like I
No,
said,
no.
once you're able to prove certain
What does Alvin mean by it's not always like that? Like, you haven't lived life, and a legal practitioner is telling you something, is explaining. You are saying it's not always like that. But anyway, let's continue.
things in courts. And when you're talking about if the
We
man
talk
is not
we talk
even,
a lot about
if
corruption.
hold on.
Please allow him
The
to
man
talk.
is not even for some reason convicted of that crime, because obviously the burden of proof is really high in cases like that. You have recourse to so many, like I said, the law is there to protect. A lot of times we just don't test the law in the courts simply because we have this ideology that, it doesn't work. It works, it just takes time.
But
Honestly.
that does not mean that they are divorced.
Yeah.
Yes, he asked me that question and it shocked me. I want to be sincere. He has answered, he has said exactly what I wanted to say. Separating that child from the father is the most important thing at that moment. So, but that does not mean that you are divorcing your husband.
If this type of incident really happen,
Exactly.
and you find out it is true, would you still marry that man?
I will still be with my husband. But
God forbid.
listen, I will still be with my
A man that will
husband.
sleep with me and slept with my daughter.
See, if I am the child, I will arrest you and my father.
A man that I got wedded to. If I'm a lawyer, I would sentence him to death. What were you even thinking of? Oh God.
Yes,
Let
I
me
will
live with
still
such
be
a
with my
man.
husband. But let me stand very well and talk. See, do you know that time the man is already separated from me? That does not mean I'm divorced from my husband. But that time, my own mind too is not even at peace with him. Because that is a devilish act.
Really?
Law can decide to take me to jail or whatever.
That's if you report him.
Yeah, that's if there's a report made.
Yes. No, there will definitely be a report.
Oh, that is going to
No.
Yeah,
Just speak the
they
fact.
should.
The man will definitely be reported. But that does not feel mean that I will divorce my husband. I want you to get that fact. I will definitely stay away from him for the period where he's going to receive his punishment.
If you actually are okay with that person doing that thing and you still want to be with that person, the law doesn't have an issue with that. What I appreciate that she said was that she would take steps to ensure that the man is brought to book for whatever crime he has committed and the child is protected. Under, I think it's section 15(2)(c) of the matrimonial clauses, or 2B, it talks about adultery. And it says where the respondent has persistently and willfully committed adultery and the petitioner finds it intolerable to live with that person. If you've condoned an act and the man doesn't do it again, you cannot divorce on that once it is proven that you condoned it.
If Christ died for me
Yeah.
and cleansed all my sins,
Wow.
and have been taught that forgiveness should be the key in everything. Assuming such a thing happens to me, I'll go gather. I'll feel like tearing him apart with my hands. I am not going to divorce my husband. I will watch and see that he suffers very well and get to realize the evil he has done. And my parents taught me that divorce is not an option in marriage. For better, we die.
Wow. 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 Okay. There's a lot to unpack here. First of all, this lady, she needs to maybe clip her hair or something because she keeps fixing it. But anyway, that's by the way. Yes. So marriage is till death do us apart, right? Now, I wonder who came up with that. It definitely wasn't a woman who came up with that. It was definitely a man who came up with that. Because a woman would just be like, "Yep, I'm gone." Uh, yeah, because marriage, historically, it has always been something to favor men. And she said Christians and the Bible and Christ died for our sins and forgiveness in marriage. Now, this whole forgiveness thing, it is only preached to the woman, right? If a woman does something, it could be something really slight. The man is gone, he's out of there. Now, nobody preaches about this same forgiveness, this same Bible, this same Christ who died for your sins, right? And cleanse away your sins. Nobody preaches it to the man. And even if they do preach it to the man, he's a man, he can do whatever he wants, because remember, he is the head, he's your head, right? Because definitely you were headless when you met him, right? You had no head, you were just walking around headless, right? So, and here she said, for better we die there, meaning it's, for her, it's better for her to die, right, being married, than to die being divorced, or to die in a second marriage, because you can still get married again. Now I think this is the mindset that she has, is the mindset that the other lady that got killed by her husband, right? So that other lady's friend, this is probably the mindset she had, right? Where probably her parents told her divorce is not an option, you die there. Now, there are people, young people still in this generation, in this day and age, who say that when they got married, they both decided that, hey, divorce is not an option. Now, if you've already said that divorce is not an option, it means that both parties can just do whatever it is they want, right? Now, I see marriage as like a business clause, right? Two people coming together to form an organization. The organization is a family. Now, with every business contract, there is always an exit clause. Exit clause. Every business contract. Any contract, even if you are renting, right? Like a rental contract, there's always an exit clause, right? So what's gonna happen if you default on your rent? What's gonna happen if the landlord is messing up? What are steps that needs to be taken to break this contract? Right? The same way you sign a marriage contract, right? Marriage certificate, right? It's the same way you will sign a business contract, and there's always an exit clause, because anything can happen. Somebody can decide that, hey, you know what, this business, like, I'm no longer interested in this business, I've moved on with my life. I think I want to do this other business instead. I think I want to pursue this other passion. I think this, and like, it's a mutual agreement. Or sometimes you find out that your partner has been stealing from the company, or your partner is doing something shady behind you, right? And so you guys just have to go your separate ways. There's nothing wrong with divorcing. Like, some people, yeah, it's like a really bitter divorce, really bitter divorce. Some people, you just, friendly terms, right? Hey, let's go our separate ways. This is no longer working, right? Like, nobody signs, for example, nobody signs a rental contract being saying that, okay, I will never move out of this apartment. I will never move out. I'm just gonna stay here and be a tenant for the rest of my life. Even if my landlord wants to kick me out, even if my landlord wants to sell the house, my landlord wants to do something to the land, I will stay here and I will die here. Like, he has to bring the caterpillar and just kill me here. It's like, no, like, it's okay to just leave, right? But this mindset of, for better we die here or we die there, this is the mindset that a lot of women who die in abusive marriages, this is the mindset they have. It's better to just die being married than to die being divorced, right? Or to die alone. I don't understand. Let's keep going.
We would appreciate if you subscribe to
Divorce is not the problem. You have to come and prove to the court that these things happen before the court grants you a divorce. So if someone has gone through these circumstances in life and has decided they are no longer willing to go through those circumstances, why should the society force or stigmatize them for making that choice? I feel that is hypocritical, because there's something they say, it's the person that wears the shoe that knows where it is.
Yes.
I don't think the society should stigmatize people who are divorced.
Because they have not been in that shoe that you are. When I first separated from my husband, we started with separation. We separated for about seven times before I found out that if care is not taken, one person head will enter 6 feet. So it is better for us to stay alive, to watch our children grow, train our children, nurture them in the will of the Lord. So many people said a lot of things. Church came in, villagers came in, family came in. You can imagine the trauma.
Something
Okay, so she said she separated from her husband like 7 times. One, two, three, four, five, right? 6 and 7. 7 times. And I think she was married for about 20 plus years. So meaning she was, she kept going back and forth every 3 years or so. Let's just take that as an average. 7 times. And she said villagers came in, church came in, people came in. No single change, like not even one change, right? Again, this goes back to the last comment that I made, that people will say whatever, give advice to the woman, but to the man, you can give him all the advice you can want, but if this man believes that that he's okay, there's nothing wrong with him, this is how he should be as a woman, and you should be this other way as a woman, there's nothing nobody can do, not the villagers, not the church, not the lawyers, not the relatives, nobody, right? Because the fact that this woman kept going back and forth 7 times, it probably means that those villagers told her to go back. Those relatives told her to go back. Those church members told her to go back, right? But they were not advising the man, or maybe they advised the man who was like, yeah, I'll change. Nothing changed until she decided herself to say, you know what, F you, villagers, churches, relatives, I'm done. Like, let me live my own life, right? Now I'm done with taking advice from relatives, from people who are not me, because at the end of the day, this is my life. At the end of the day, this is my future. This is my destiny. This is my life we're talking about here, right? Because if anything happens to you, good or bad, especially bad, well, there's nothing anybody can do. Not the villagers. They're gonna feel sorry for you. They're gonna feel bad for you. But let's continue.
That I find really unfortunate is that the stigma doesn't even stay with the man, it's the woman. The man is most likely free to just continue his life like it never happened. It's the woman.
This is exactly what I was saying. Men, they can do whatever it is they want, right? F you to everybody. You see? And this is even coming from a man.
And I understand because obviously she has children and those children are attached to her. But at the same time, I think the society should be able to see through what that woman has gone through, and rather than stigmatize her for her decision, have empathy for the situation she has found herself in. Generally, marriage is a contract. At least under the law, it's a contract. Under religion, it's an oath or a vow. Like every other contract, you can decide to pull out. Then you should be allowed to. I don't see how that is a problem to any other person.
I believe that if a couple goes into marriage knowing that like divorce is an option, nobody will want to spoil the marriage knowing that divorce can happen. That's basically it for me.
It's not a big deal. If you try to make it work, it does not work. Oh, girl or boy, put the paper down, sign them, rest your head. Marriage is not by force.
Candidate
Thank you,
Zagreas, now speak.
So I really love what the legal practitioner said about a marriage being a contract, right? Legally, it's a contract. Religiously, it's a vow. Now, legally, a contract can be broken. Religiously or spiritually, a vow can be broken. People make promises all the time that they break for one reason or the other. Sometimes, just life happens, circumstances or natural disasters, something happens that, even though you made a promise, you vowed with your own life, anything can happen, right? That will force you to break that vow, right? Or to break the commitment. Anything can happen. So, I really love that, like, it should be normalized, right? And not stigmatized. But let's hear what these guys have to say.
Where did we get lost in society to think it should be normalized? You made vows on that wedding day. You made vows. Now, if anybody can divorce willy-nilly, what is the point? Children are the beginning of empires. Now, if you're going to be shaping them and giving them the example that vows are just protocol, till death do us part is just protocol, I wonder what kind of parent you are. Okay, let me ask you a question. If you got cheated on, right, and your wife divorces you, right, are you going to be comfortable with the fact that she just did it because she knows she can divorce you anytime?
Why did I cheat in the first place?
She cheated on you. Yes. Are you going to be comfortable with the fact that she just did it because she knew that she could divorce you anytime?
She can't do that.
Are you gonna really have
She
that?
can't do that actually. Yeah, legally. You can't cheat and then bring a case to court to say I want to divorce because I cheated.
Can I ask you a question?
Uh-huh.
You got married to a woman that is stronger than you.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
They probably won't
Every
get
little
married.
thing, she threaten you that she's going to bully you. She's going to bully. Every time she bully you, your father comes in, the church comes in, the uncles come in. She still remain. You still go ahead to marry that woman.
There's something in dating, right, and age that relates to each other. When you're dating at the right age, you build emotional intelligence. So when you know that a case is going to come like that, when you know there's a probability of that, right, you create contingency plans, right? Now that contingency plans might not be divorcing, but there are other methods.
Shouldn't be a normal thing. I'm used to not here. Shouldn't be a normal thing.
Take a look at our society currently, for example, how people are just diving into divorce with any little discomfort. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. People no longer want to manage, not even manage, like build. Now that people are saying we should not stigmatize, they should stigmatize them. Because if you don't stigmatize them, that is why they will feel very free.
Exactly
Your
my
husband
point.
just raised his voice at you a little bit, or the wife did not cook soup for you the way you like it, you just get a divorce. They should stigmatize them. People will say, oh, it's only the women who get stigmatized. No, people no longer want to go into relationships with single fathers anymore. They are being stigmatized. So it is good. They should continue stigmatizing them. Maybe that one will help them to think, okay, at least if I cannot fight for my marriage, what about the people that will be insulting me that I couldn't stay in marriage, or the people that will be saying, oh, I carry children for her, they know if he dates me.
You believe people are like just
Wow, interesting. This is says another young man with very warped view about marriages and relationship. It's very sad because he is also a young man and he is married. But we're gonna find out how many years he's been married and how old he is. But it's very sad. Stigmatized, right? So people stigmatize single fathers, right? Yeah. So and he said it should be stigmatized so that people will be forced to stay in there. So even though, somebody is refusing to work on themselves to change, right? Now they should be forced to stay with that person who is refusing to change, right? How does that even make any sense, right? Now I can tell these guys they are not knowledgeable, they are quite ignorant when it comes to uh people skills, right? Having empathy for people, right? And sympathizing with others, right? Even though you might not have experienced what that person is experiencing or have experienced, you should be able to sympathize with that person and just, put yourself in their shoes and just think of, okay, well, first of all, thank God that's not me, but hey, how can I help you, right? What can I do to make things much better for you, right? So it's just the fact that these anti-divorcees, you can tell that they just aren't knowledgeable when it comes to people skills, right? When it comes to even emotional intelligence, knowing how to deal with people, knowing how to empathize and even sympathize with people who are going through who are going through it when it comes to life.
jumping into divorce, right?
They are. Look at the society.
Do you
Can't
also
see?
believe that people are also just jumping into marriages? Those people married are married.
Yes.
Yeah, so those people
You're
that are
making a
married,
point for
should
us.
they be allowed to divorce or not?
Marriage anyhow.
This is the reason why some churches will make you go through series of what they call
Counseling.
it, counseling.
We are talking about like the whole world. You can't just talk about like just churches.
No,
here.
I'm telling you that if all churches, or if they can say, if you want to get married, go through the process of counseling, they can normalize that. Since you want to say they should throw marriage away.
Okay, see, that,
instead of
that
throwing
makes,
marriage
wait,
away.
that actually makes more sense because like if you want to divorce, you need to go to,
But we are not talking
See,
about that right now. We are talking
it's
about
still
divorce.
the same thing.
We're not talking
Still the same
about that
thing.
right now.
Divorce
We're
have like
talking
you have like a long list of things you need to go through before you can divorce. When you are being
Let me just-
abused
let me-
or you falling out of love.
Some people just divorce because of
for the slightest reason,
trying to say is that,
especially
like, the divorce-
lately.
your soul be hammering on like us with so much pleasure. I don't know. Maybe it's coming from a divorced home. Maybe he has lived with those who are from a divorced home and he has seen one-hand experience of what it is them all this beating and all that stuff.
I'm from a very stable family and I've not really seen or experienced divorce firsthand. But I've seen people that should have gotten divorced. So that is one of the main reasons why I'm here.
The way people just make assumptions about other people's lives. Now, this boy just came out to say that, okay, actually, he's from a stable family. Both parents are still married, right? He hasn't seen or experienced divorce, but he knows people who should have gone through it, right? So, probably maybe friends, colleagues, relatives, neighbors, what have you, right? So, people just make assumptions, right? Stop making assumptions.
believe divorce should be normalized. Not something that people have to go through lots of process just to get to.
You people think you can just walk into court and
Exactly what I'm saying. You can't just divorce like that.
That is not. You cannot even divorce within 2 years without the leave of court. And what that means is that you have to first ask the court, "Can I divorce?" And there are grounds: rape, bestiality. Sometimes, if you marry within bloodlines or if you marry within relatives, let's say you marry someone that was insane, someone that was not capable. There's very strict requirements.
But this is
within 2 years.
they are venturing divorce because they feel it's normal, because it's normalized. It's easy for them to bring.
That's what I'm saying. Now, it's easy for them to bring it, but they still have to prove.
You can't just wake up and look at your wife, look at your husband that you love so much. You went to the altar and wear a ring, dance, do this. Said, they do again. That there is something that will make you to do that thing.
Drinking coffee every day didn't work.
I would say it's not normal to divorce, and it's not also good to stay in abusive marriage. Before a man or a woman would do that, they are cutting to this place. I will not say divorce is good and it's sweet. It's not sweet too. It's very bitter. I don't know how to put it. Look at it back and front before you do it, because it's not rice and beans.
If you believe in love and the two of you actually really love each other, there is nothing you cannot work out.
It is not only abusive marriage that can make somebody divorce.
Yes.
It's not even on the top 3 or
You
5.
don't need to reach that
It's
far
not
to
even
make
there.
that
It's not even up there. 8th of January 2024. I think that's when it was released. It was a Forbes list. Domestic violence is there, but there are things way above. I'm not saying it's to discredit domestic violence. We have lack of commitment there, lack of education when your spouse is illiterate. We have substance abuse, so many other things, right? Domestic abuse was either 7th or 9th. So I was just thinking we could treat the other things instead of focusing on violence and all.
Again, where is this guy getting his statistics from? So he said something about Forbes list, right? So I guess we'd have to go look that up. And also Forbes list, as in Forbes list, Forbes list for the US or Forbes list for Nigeria, because we are talking about Nigeria, not even Africa, not even West Africa, Nigeria here. So again, when it comes to coding statistics, quote something that is relevant, please.
So many.
Mary.
Communication, lack of communication. It can
cause divorce.
Make a marriage stop.
That one is worse.
See, why I just have to say
It
that?
is so simple. It only has to do with dialogue. If you are saying you pass through beating, maybe you don't pass through the one that passed.
That's not trouble.
No, but I just want to tell you the truth.
She said she don't go for that.
Marriage is till death do us part.
Of course, marriage is till death do us part. I mean, for example, you were wedded in church, definitely the officiator would ask those questions and tell you till death do us part, and you say, yes, I do. So
When you're already in the process of dating and all, fiance or fiance, whatever, you're already thinking consciously and subconsciously in your mind, this is going to be, that's what I would think. This is going to be it. It's death or nothing else. So it's just, I think it's intrinsically obvious.
Growing up, we were told that marriage is till death do us part. So I strongly believe in that. And my parents never divorced. All the people around me never did that. So marriage is till death do us part.
Can the disagreeers speak now?
Already the Bible said that it hates divorce. And also the Bible said that marriage is that do us part. But when I was growing up, I found out that 2 of my friends died inside marriage. I married at the age of 19. My husband started hitting me when my child was 4 days old. I move along with it so that the both sides will not hear. My parents should not hear. My auntie should not hear. But I almost lost my life inside that marriage. I tried to make it work. It could not work.
Wow.
I seek for divorce. They said, don't go. It's okay. I know what to do. When the thing was up here, because after 4 times of entering coma, 3 days. Wow. The first one took 4 days. I almost gone. Why waiting until you die? I will make an example with, I'm not mocking her, our singer, Ozinachi. I want to make it work. I want to make it work. She ended up dying. So why dying inside the marriage? Go for divorce. Let people say what they want to say. Save your head so that you can fight for your children when they need you.
All of you guys.
Wow, wow. This woman, she has really gone through it. She has, wow, she has gone through it. She needs to be, she needs to be an advocate for domestic violence or something, for women especially. Because, wow, coma, was it 4 times that she said, right? Like she went into coma multiple times, but she still kept going back. Because the villagers, the elders, the men, I'm sure all these people were all men, not women. Maybe a few women as well, because some women, probably a woman like her would advise her to go back. Probably mostly men were advising her, oh, just forgive, like Christ did. The Bible says God hates divorce. The Bible says the death do us apart. Now, the Bible says God hates divorce. Now, did God himself or herself or itself said with, by itself that it hates divorce? It's somebody who put it there. It's some man who put it there that God said he hates divorce. Now, when did God ever come to tell you that he himself or she herself hates divorce? Now, I'm using he, she, it because in the Bible it says that God is not a man. God is a spirit. But the men who wrote the Bible will say that God is a man. And so we should use he for him, right? So it's a spirit, so we're going to refer to it as an it. Now it says that God hates divorce. Now, did God itself said it hates divorce? Right? So people just quoting things anyhow, misinterpreting stuff and just even lying to manipulate millions of women. Now, she eventually left that marriage when she said, you know what? Enough. Let me stop living for other people. Let me live for myself because these people will push me to my death. These people that are advising me that God hates divorce, that it's till death do us apart, these people will eventually kill me. But hey, let me stay alive for my own child. And when I eventually get to see my God, we will work things out because the God sent me to this earth for my own personal assignment. He didn't send me to this world to fulfill other people's assignment. Every single one of us will all have our own individual assignment to complete in this world. Nobody should derail you from that. So I don't understand why people will live for other people, right? And like, this is your job. This is your responsibility, not somebody else. You can't be like, well, this person said this person said that. That's why I didn't do this, right? No. What did you do with the time I gave you? What did you do with the talent I gave you? Why did you bury your talent? Right? Why didn't you take advantage of the opportunities that I gave you while you were there? Well, the elders, the church members did this, the Bible did this. We will all face judgment one day, and we will all face it individually, not as a group. Remember that.
Guys here is saying you think, you believe, but like that's not a strong enough reason to stay in a marriage. I don't think marriage should be a life sentence. Just as I decided to get married, I can also decide to leave the marriage. It should not be by force.
Exactly.
There are several instances that can come during the term of the marriage that warrants that marriage to end. I think she has mentioned one, which is pro-life. Life is the most important thing that we hold dear. You have the law at your side, and you also have religion at your side. Even in the Bible, there's a part where it says you can get divorced on certain grounds.
She said she married at the age of 19, if I'm correct. I would just like to say that I think, not with you, ma'am, but I think
It's a she, not a he.
generally with the data that has been presented, generally, that is the lead
that gives you an out. Marriage is the union between two people. That's what marriage is. It's not a marriage one person. So when the other person is doing certain things that are in some way going to affect your life in a negative way.
Okay, sir, but as human beings, right, we should always think with something at the back of our mind, right? This decision that I'm making, there's a probability it's gonna go wrong, but am I gonna stick to my responsibility? Am I gonna stick with my kids? Responsibility comes first.
You know, she said she got married at the age of 19, so I'll still.
This Alvin boy, he needs to stop interrupting the legal practitioner. Legal practitioner, because this man is, first of all, older than you, 2 is married, 3 is a legal practitioner. This is what he does for a living. Please, let's continue.
Still want to go with that. Teenagers are not meant to get married. On a more sincere note, if we tell ourselves the truth, because they've not known anything, they are supposed to concentrate on their education. Before you get married, you need to have a good and wide knowledge about marriage. Number 2, instead of divorce, I prefer separation. You see, separation is not divorce.
I'm a Catholic, a born Catholic. Stop to tell you, Madam, Oga, go and stay separately for a while. And then start attending counseling. Now, that period whereby we are doing that is a period, it's a time for them to have a routine.
What is actually the issue? What is it that I am not doing well? I have passed through it. And I have come out from it boldly to now say that divorce is not the best. Someone else who also passed through the same stuff called me one day and told me, Madam, don't make a mistake to leave your home. Go on your separate ways for a period of time, even if it is 2 years. Even if it is 3 years, just go on your separate ways. You will still communicate with your husband. Your husband will communicate with the children. You know, things like that. That's the period you will now know whether you truly love that man, whether that man truly loves you. Forget about love. Is there a little sacrifice, just little sacrifice I can do for the sake of keeping your marriage? Think about it. That same period that you are away.
You said you can go for like 2-3 years separation, which I have seen, I have done. Yet, instead of the person to change, he was adding more fire. I'm very sorry to say this. I'm a woman. When you love a man, don't show it to his face. He was rubbishing that love on the floor, on the ground.
I don't support that.
Please.
Sister, he was thinking that I cannot cope 2 months out of his roof. But as the Lord will have it, this is me here, 11 years. I'm still working stronger.
Do you know, I want to tell you something. It is
Sister,
simply because you got married at a very wrong age.
Excuse me. Sister, excuse me.
Let me just address
because
the age.
I managed this marriage. I did not just leave when the marriage was 2 years.
I'm very confused. What makes you think divorce would have
Please, can
solved that?
someone listen to me?
We are listening, my love. We are
but we
listening.
need
I did not
to
just
correct
leave.
you on some things.
I did not
because-
just leave when the marriage was 2 years or 3 years. This was a marriage of 25 good years that I tried to push so that I can work.
Because
Instead,
you were married at a young age. So at that time, you were already getting mature. So you were seeing the things that you now like, and then you are having friends that will tell you, oh, your husband shouldn't be doing this
Nobody.
to you. And you
Nobody.
were
I didn't
talking
take any-
back
if-
at that time. You were
I should
mature
take
enough to
anybody
talk back.
advice. I would leave the marriage
One
when the
thing-
marriage
one
was
thing I want
starting.
to
I'm
ask
sorry, do
is-
you know
1
that
year.
inside
Please.
or outside of the marriage, that man, if he was properly motivated, he could have still hurt you? So the problem is not the marriage. Day by day, right, we have stalkers. Now, the stalkers, right, men that stalk women and women that stalk men. I'm not invalidating your experience, right? I don't stand for abuse. Let's get that straight, right? But I'm saying at the end of the day, people die every day. Divorce is not going to solve that. Even if they divorce, it's not the full thing. I don't know. There are many probabilities, many variables in this world, but you never know if divorce was going to solve that in the first place. She could have died. He could have killed her, divorce or no divorce.
I have a question. If I have a lot of things.
Again, this Alvin boy is not making sense. People are talking about divorce and marriage to death do us apart. This man brought up stalkers, men stalking women, women stalking men. Like, how does that, like, what does it have to do with the topic at hand? Alvin, please. And then people die every day. Yeah, that's true. People die every day, and we will all die eventually, right? But you can prolong your life. You can change how you die. You can die peacefully, or you can die in a horrific way, right? You can die at a young age, or you can die at an old age, right? So, and divorcing, solving domestic violence, I don't understand honestly, not following. And also going back to people getting married at a wrong age. Now, the lady in the orange dress, probably her mother, who advised her that marriage is till death do us apart. Her mother probably got married at 16, 17, maximum 20 years old, because women of that generation, and if her mother is from the village, chances are she got married as a teenager, because girls in villages back in, because I'm guessing this woman, she's probably in her 50s, so probably she got married, so she was born in the 70s, right? So probably her mother was probably born in the 50s or whatever, right? Women from that generation in Nigeria, they do not go to school, right? Because then we didn't have as many universities, schools, and system that we have right now, right? So, you would go to school if you are fortunate and your parents have the money to send you to school, right? And for them to have the money, it means that they were probably living in the city and they thought, hey, I want you to have this profession, right? But as a woman, her mother probably got married at a young age. Maybe that's why it was easier for her to be molded, that she believed that marriage is till death do us apart. That's by the way. There are people who got married in their 20s, in their 30s, and they still divorce. There are people who got married and then a few months later they're divorced. There are people who got married two times, three times when they are more mature and they still got a divorce, right? So it's not about when you got married. Let's turn this one on. Okay.
To say, let's say for instance now you and your husband separate, yeah. 2 years after, you find yourself doing better, communicating with your children, your relationship with your children is way better, financially you're okay, you're stable, mentally you're all right. Are you going to go back to the man?
I will still go back to my husband. Let me tell you why.
She wants to explain to you.
Let me tell you why.
Cha.
You see, this is a man I married with so much love. And I got married at the age of 30 years.
Congratulations.
And then I have known what love is. Then I understand the difference between love and infatuation. This is a man I married with so much love. And I got married at the age of 30 years.
Okay.
And then I have known what love is. Then I understand the difference between love and infatuation. Now, this is a man that I know how he treats me. This is a man that I know that, oh, yes, he hates me, but yet he loves me.
Wow.
He brings out his heart to show me that love, really. I'm telling you the sincere truth. It's not about the fact that, oh, we are here and camera is on us. No. He showers me with so much love. But then, I would definitely go back.
Divorce affects the children negatively.
All right, so before we get to this, wow. So the unfortunate thing is that there are so many women in Africa, let me just concentrate on Africa, who have this mindset. Young women now, very sad. You see them all over social media. Hey, my boyfriend just beat me, but he got me a new iPhone. My husband just finished beating me, like the eyes swollen, but he bought me a new Peruvian hair. My whatever beat me while I was pregnant, threw me down the stairs, but he apologized, told me he was sorry, and he took me on a vacation. because he loves me, and the reason why he beats me is to show that he loves me, and that means he isn't cheating on me, and he's just trying to teach me a lesson, and really he loves me, that's why he's beating me. Just say, yeah. So there are women and young girls still right now who have that mindset, right? Who have that mindset. It's only God that can release them.
I agree.
Are you a course creator, coach, or consultant? Do not make a course or ebook before.
Negatively, but I would also like to state that divorce in itself is not tailored to affect children. Let me just put it that way. When you're going through a divorce, one of the most important things the court considers is the custody, guardianship, welfare, advancement, and education of the children. Anything else, as far as those children are concerned, the court puts it aside and focuses on those children to ensure that they come out better.
I want to talk about the mental aspect of, divorce affecting the children. There is no marriage without fights.
Wow.
It is a bitter truth. Let us not deceive ourselves. Even in a family, you see brothers, sisters fighting themselves. Talk less of people who come from different homes. So I'm now going back to the children. The children will say all these things. They will expect that, oh, daddy, why are you doing this now? Mommy, calm down. Mommy, go and beg daddy. Daddy, calm down. Daddy, go and beg. It has happened to me. Now, whereby the children now see, oh, mommy is going a separate way, daddy is going a separate way. The children don't always they are not always happy. They are not always. 99% of such children are not always happy.
I think she's exaggerating.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm trying to say in this essence is this. Children from broken home, those ones that are just growing up, not the ones that have come into the world now that are so big that their ears are filled with divorce. I'm talking of children that are just growing. Talk to them. If you talk to these children, they will tell, oh, I don't like the way mommy and daddy are living separately. They will tell you the truth from their hearts. They will go to school. Other children, sometimes they don't even want to play with them.
Wow.
They say, this one, daddy and mommy are not together. Oh, what will she come and tell us now?
I'll use my child as an example.
This woman, she's not making any sense. So you can tell that she doesn't have a good marriage, and the fact that she has been separated from her husband for a few times, and for a lengthy period of time, because she said somebody counseled her and told her, hey, don't make the mistake of leaving your husband, separate for 2 or 3 years, right? And she did separate, and she went back because, well, she can never divorce her husband. And the children were not happy. Yeah, the children probably, they will not be happy about the parents living separately, but if they've seen the toxic relationship between the both of you, trust me, the children will be quite relieved, very happy. Especially if the man is not only abusing the woman, he is also terrorizing the kids. There are so many families whereby the man is abusive to the mother and the kids. Now, when the mother leaves, and especially when she lives with her children, the children will be happy. The children will not even ask about their father. And when they do find out the father is coming, is that they don't even want to see that father, and eventually once they grow up to be adult, they just cut ties with that man. So, and probably this woman, she grew up in a home where both parents are together, but you can see that she grew up in a negative environment, and so she has toxic beliefs. And I'm only assuming that for the other two young men who are anti-divorce. So just because your parents are no longer living together physically in the same home doesn't mean it'll affect you negatively. And she said the other children will not want to play with them because the parents are divorced. How will the other children know about what's going on in another kid's home? And Children, they don't make assumptions. Children, they don't judge. Well, depending on age, they don't judge. Kids, they just want to play. And obviously, kids who judge are usually products of parents who judge. So probably those parents were probably gossiping, saying all sorts of negative things about the other kids, while the child was is at home playing, or just in the house. And so when the child goes to school the following day, the child's attitude will now change towards this friend of hers, or this friend of his, right? So it's the parent spreading all these toxic beliefs. And how is that the child's fault? So the father is abusing the mother, or just the mother is doing some things in the house that she isn't supposed to be doing. They decided to go their own separate ways. It wasn't the child's fault. Now why should the child be punished for that, right? Now adults in many societies, we need to do better, right? We need, like, it wasn't the child's fault. Even if it was the child's fault for one reason or the other, it's like, this is a child, right? We all have to remember that a child will not always be a child. They will eventually grow up to be adults, and you want to have responsible, loving adults in the society.
I married early. I married at 26. I'm currently 29. I've been 3 years in marriage now.
Wow.
Yes. So within that 3 years, myself and my wife have separated countless times, and we've come back together. So those times when we separate, so when I go there for settlement, when I see my child, I don't feel happy. Like, I feel like he would have been living better if he was with me, but he has no choice. That is where he could stay at that time. Like, one person just decides to, anyhow they want to dress them, or any school they want to take them to. I agree that the court has a say with custody, or how do they call it? But sometimes the court might be wrong. They might give the child to the wrong person. 90% of divorce affects the children more.
You guys are just throwing numbers out now.
Nigerians will over-exaggerate when we want to give percentage.
I can't understand where you're coming from.
I think you get the point.
But
see,
what I'm
just the
saying
same way divorce affects children, yeah. There are children from families that their parents are still together that are affected by that kind of marriage. Like, their children are begging their parents to go to divorce. These are things that I've seen firsthand.
if people are
like
bad
that.
parents, that's on them.
Can the disagreeer now speak?
It depends.
So before we move on to Mrs. Elizabeth, this man, so we can now see how this man has toxic beliefs, right? And the younger guy, Alvin, his marriage probably will be just like this other man, and probably worse, right? Because this man, he's only 26, very young, 26 years old, been married 3 years. And he's been separated from his wife countless times. Not once, not twice, not three times, countless times, meaning that countless times probably means like 10 times, or at least in the past 3 years. So that is 36 months, right? So probably maybe once every 3 months that woman is leaving, and they have a child, right? And he said something about the court can give the child to the wrong person. No, the legal practitioner said that you have to bring proof to the marriage, that proof to the court that there has been abuse, and just illegal things going on that can be that can result the child or the children negatively, right? So there's no way the court will just give the child to the wrong person. And he said, somebody would decide what school the child goes to, what the child wears. Who is the somebody? The wife? Because probably, I mean, he said, he goes to visit the child, probably means that the child goes with the mother, right? And the mother obviously will dress the child, in the best possible way that she sees fit. And if you don't want your child to live under somebody else's roof, if you don't want to go through the stress of visiting your child somewhere else, why don't you just work on your attitude? Why don't you just work on your mindset, your belief? Why don't you just go and read some books, and just unlearn many of the negative beliefs that you have about marriages? Why don't you go and take relationship courses and actually study relationship, right? So that you and your wife would no longer need to separate all the time, right? Because this is mind-boggling. He's only 29 years old, been married 3 years, and he separates from his wife many times. many times, and he has a child already. That's very sad. Eventually, I'm sure the wife, the next time she leaves, she probably won't come back, especially after seeing this video. And I'm sure a lot of her friends will probably advise her to, leave that marriage.
Depends how tender the children are. But if the children are grown-ups and they'll be seeing the beating,
Exactly.
the fighting, the separation all the time, so many things are not working well, then they finally divorce themselves. It will not affect those children at all.
Nope.
Because they have been seeing like one person's life is going to go if these two are not staying apart.
I mean, what you're saying, yeah, I understand what you're saying. The children will understand that, like, the divorce is right, it was needed and all that, but I don't think that's enough reason for them not to feel it. I don't think that's enough reason for them not to get affected by it.
The children suffer a huge blow when it comes to divorce. They have a stigma. Wherever they go, they call them children from broken homes.
Wow.
And people
They
see
personally even get
them
disconnected
as
themselves.
children who will not, who
Amount to
cannot.
anything.
Yes, they are bound to like influence others negatively.
Because they think they don't have home training
Yes.
of any sort.
I have a question. First of all, yeah, I don't know where this myth came from, but people are always talking about like the effect of divorce on children, but nobody ever talks about the effects of like children seeing their parents harm each other. It does not necessarily even need to be as extreme as harming. It can be things like the parents setting unhealthy relationship ideas for the children and all that.
People change after marriage.
Yes.
Before we get to this next prompt and a final prompt about people changing after marriage, well, the lady in orange, for some reason, I don't even remember her name. People stigmatize the children. They think the children will not amount to anything, and so on and so forth. It's very sad, very sad. Now, my parents. So I grew up in what Nigerians would call a broken home, and nobody stigmatized me as a child. Like I don't even think. So I went to quite a few schools in Nigeria, and I don't think anybody even knew that my parents were together or not together, right? And so I mean, nobody stigmatized me, or they didn't want to play with me or talk to me or something like that. So I don't know where this myth, like that boy said, I don't know where that myth is coming from, because that is just absolutely rubbish. It's BS. Nobody said anything negative about me or any of my siblings. So I don't know, or maybe they did behind their backs, but the friends that I hung out with, the people that I hung out with, they just saw me. They saw my personality. They wanted to be my friend, and they saw how smart I was, and just how dope I was. So nobody stigmatized me. So I don't understand what's going on here. And by the way, this happened in the 90s. So it's been almost 30 years, right? So I'm talking about 1990 something, like mid 90s in Nigeria. So probably this woman was probably in her 20s then, right? So, I mean, probably, she already had that negative mindset about marriages or what have you. But yeah, it doesn't exist. Nobody stigmatizes kids, or maybe they do, but it's very few. And I think it's only isolated to certain cultures, certain backgrounds, certain neighborhoods. So if you're from a poorer neighborhood, maybe, but middle class, upper middle class, and so on and so forth, nobody cares. It's like nobody cares. Anyway, let's continue.
You have your own personality, but actions you make and reactions that come about those actions form human beings.
We will just be pretending. Honey, darling, sweetheart, baby, they will call you all sweet name. That same man, that same woman will enter your house, turn things around. Even me, I was so angelic. But when you get to a point, oh boy, I removed that angelic cloth and one said, I wear that black clothes because I cannot come and die, and my children will not. I will not be able to help them.
It's either you're changing for good or you're changing for bad. But you see, when it comes to the bad one, someone can be good and come into a marriage and meet a fire for fire mother-in-law. The person will change you.
You would definitely have to change some attitudes that you probably used to do before, but in marriage is no longer something that is feasible for the union. So those are like the everyday. Maybe you wake up 10 before, but your husband goes to work early, and you want to prepare something for him. Or maybe your husband comes back after work, he goes to drink with his friends. Now he's thinking, now I have a wife at home, I have to come back home early. It boils down to even financial sacrifices when you start to see the nature of your spending changing. How you used to spend as a bachelor is different from how you probably spend as a married man.
I believe change is constant in human beings. It's normal. Everyone changes. I don't think you even need to add it to marriage. With or without marriage, people are going to change definitely.
Very much.
All right, let's put this one in the middle here. Okay, so that is it. Wow, this video is a little bit long. So anyway, so I guess I wanted to go over the comment section really quickly, but yeah, I guess you guys can just go through it on your own because this video is quite long. So I'll see if I can edit it down. If not, we just post it like that. But final thought is that this video is quite eye-opening. There is no surprise, actually. There is no surprise. Like, I don't see anything surprise. Like, nothing surprised me from the anti-divorcee and the pro-divorcee, right? Now, one thing that I guess is a surprise to me is Alvin, right? He's such a young man, but he's very ignorant, and he has such toxic beliefs because people are always talking about Gen X, Gen Z, Gen what have you, thinking that they are the future, they are more open, they are liberal, they are this, but he has beliefs that are just as toxic as the previous generations, right? The generation before him, right? And it is, you can see the comments here, right? And you can see that Nigerians are on the side of pro divorce, right? For the most part of these comments right here, right? You can tell that those guys are the minority, right? So a lot of times we live our lives thinking about what will people say, what will people do. But the thing is that those people that you are living for, they are the minority. They are the minority. Let me repeat it one more time. They are the minority. The majority, honestly, they are rooting for you. They might not show it, they might not say verbally because of what they might lose, because of the kind of person they are, because of the status they have in the society. But these people, like user Priscilla, C, whatever, these people anonymously online are voicing out their opinions. Now, in real life, they might say something else and do something else. But these people that we are seeing right here online are, you can see that they are pro divorce, right? Maybe not pro divorce, but but they understand that marriage is a contract, right? A contract that can be broken at any time, a vow that can be broken at any time. Anything can happen that will make you to leave that contract that you signed, right? So live your life, and remember, you have this assignment to carry out. Now, people always reference the Bible in Nigeria. Not all Nigerians are Christians. We have other religions as well. So I think it is quite disrespectful to be quoting a religion that that is not practiced by the majority, right? And even if you are both Christians, you have different denominations, you have different types of Christians who have different beliefs, who some are Old Testament, New Testament. I think it's just disrespectful to always bring the Bible in. Even if you must bring the Bible in, there is there are actually two stories of the man who gave his workers talent, right? And he went away, and when he came back, there was one of his servants who just buried his talent because of one reason or the other, because probably religious leaders said this, the neighbors said this, his parents said this, there was a repression, there was a depression, the his boss was like, you know what, that's none of my business. I gave you this assignment. I didn't give this assignment to a group of people. What did you do with the talent I gave you? Nothing. You wasted it because you were busy, living your life for somebody else. You were busy making assumptions. Oh, because, you were such a mean boss, whatever. So I decided to just go hide it and bury it. No, you have to remember that on Judgment Day, because this is one thing that all Christians, a lot of Christians in Africa are afraid of. On Judgment Day, they just want to have a pass mark and go to heaven. On Judgment Day, every single person will be judged individually, right? Because there is no family, there's no relative, there's no pastor, there's no elders in heaven. We all transform into spirits, and you'll be judged individually, right? So do not be like, oh, then the Bible says that God hates divorce. Did God tell you Himself that it hates divorce, right? Or whatever, right? So you have to live your life. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this long video, and please make sure to subscribe to my channel, and I'll be back with more videos. Bye.